But despite the Nets losing to the Celtics in game one, just how impressive was Kyrie in game one?
We all know that Kyrie Irving is one of the most electrifying players in basketball when he's on the court. When he's healthy, top 10 player, in my opinion. He's one of the most entertaining players to watch. The man can shoot, finish at the rim, left hand, right hand. Um, Truthfully, is probably one of the players in NBA history that cannot be guarded by anybody. I would love to see Kyrie Irving go up against prime Michael Jordan, prime Scottie Pippen, prime Ron Artest. Like if it was possible to put some of the best players in, I would love to see him in that position. I mean, we saw him at USA basketball camp a couple of years ago, or should I say a while back now, when he was just 19, 20 years old, going up against some of the better defenders in the NBA. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and just a litany of players that he just ran through and just basically made look silly. The man walks into this court or walks into this arena and says, I got it. He's got no fear. He doesn't let anything bother him. The fans heckling him. Yeah, maybe he flipped them off. Yeah, maybe he gave him a derogatory comment at the end of the game out of frustration of a loss. But when he is on the court, ain't nothing bother him. Bro, smooth. What is it Stuart Scott used to say? Cool as the other side of the pillow. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott. But dude, Kyrie Irving single handedly, like I said before, carried this team to stay relevant and stay in this game. 18 points in the fourth quarter, and he was guarded by everybody. You switch Tatum on him, it didn't matter. You put Marcus Smart on him to harass him and get physical with him, it didn't matter. You put Jaylen Brown on him, it didn't matter. Like, truthfully and honestly, he is a walking mismatch, and he is going to find a way to score no matter who's on him. Now, granted, it's game one. They got six more games to go if this game were to go to seven. I'm not going to sit here and say Kyrie has unlocked Pandora's box and he's going to score at will no matter what happens. We all know he's got the potential to do that. But when you start off a series and you make a statement like that and damn near drop 40 and still kick out six assists and he had four steals, like I said, man, Kyrie a man on a mission, and he's not one to shy away from a double team either. We all know that he can split a double, and if he does it, he's going to find somebody open. And 9 times out of 10, that's KD or Seth Curry in a corner. So Seth Curry's going to get it going. He's going to get his players involved. KD obviously had an off night. The Nets are going to be fine, but from a standpoint of Kyrie Irving, how impactful this was, that was huge. And if it wasn't for him, this game could have gotten away from Brooklyn pretty quickly. And I think Boston definitely could have won this by double digits if it wasn't for Kyrie. So shout out to Ree, man. That was Kai was going off.
Kevin, I'm going to be a little bit more petty than I typically am when it comes to these segments because, I mean, look, there's no doubt in my mind, Kyrie was sensational in game one. 39 points, really kept Brooklyn in it in the fourth quarter. That goes without saying. The problem that I have with Kyrie from this game is not what he did on the court, but really kind of like how he responds to all the heckling from the fans. And look, let's face it, Kyrie Irving and Boston, they just don't mix well. He had a pretty tenuous relationship with the Celtics while he was there, and I imagine the fans still harbor some pretty resentful feelings towards him based on how he left in the manner that he did. Because that's really the point of emphasis that I'm going to make with this point. Kyrie is a little bit too sensitive when it comes to Boston and their fans. Now, I understand Boston has some really tough and gritty fans. And mind you, Boston fans can be tricky just based on how they like you. If they like a player, they love them. Because there's no way that you can tell me different. Like, all of these Boston Celtics fans, they love Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. I mean, they will ride or die for these guys no matter what, unless, they do them dirty in any sort of way. Kyrie Irving, well, let's just say that, it didn't end well when Kyrie was there and then when he went to Brooklyn right after. And trust me, those Boston fans know. And when they see him on the court in Boston, they're going to let him know in every way, shape, or form. Granted, Kyrie may not like it because he finds it disrespectful. He finds it out of pocket. But that's what they're there. That's what they're there to do. They're there to get under your skin. They're there to let you know about it, and they're not going to back off. Now, what Kyrie does pretty well is that he uses that as fuel, and he's able to propel himself and his team to not only a chance to win the game, but just an overall better performance The part that I have a problem with Kyrie is that I think he's a little too soft when it comes to how he receives criticism or insults from Boston's fans. You got to know that coming into the arena based on what you did when you left Boston in the manner that you did it. And trust me, they're not going to stop because guess what? More than likely, the series is going past 5 games to begin with. So you're going to see them again, and they are going to be in your grill every time they see you. So guess what? If you're Kyrie, just use the hate as fuel. Just keep going and doing what you do on a consistent basis. Because more than likely, if Kyrie keeps playing at the clip that he's playing at, it wouldn't surprise me if he drops 40 in the Garden in game 2 or possibly game 5 or game 7 if it gets to that point. So Kyrie's going to have ample opportunities to get really good performances in the Garden. And trust me, he's going to get the opportunity to let those fans know that he's for real. He's not to be played with. And that's despite whatever sort of insults that are thrown his way. That's really the only takeaway that I have as far as criticism for Kyrie. I can't criticize the man's game. I mean, Kyrie is just an amazing basketball player. I mean, he's one of the most electrifying basketball players of this generation. I mean, his handle is probably the greatest handle of all time in NBA history. And the only part that I could really kind of criticize in regards to Kyrie Irving is just his ability just to handle criticism from the fans. He has to do it better. Can't come off soft, and in some of these instances, he has looked soft in how he receives the criticisms from fans or just insults in general. And really, my only advice to him in that regard is just keep using it as fuel to just go out and give it to him. If he drops 45 points in a dub for Brooklyn in game 2, then it's all worth it. Because then that just pisses off Boston fans. Like, they may hate it all they want, but drop 45 points on them. They just had to accept that. It is what it is. But overall, I mean, Kyrie's a great player. That there's nothing new with that. The only thing I would tell him is just don't let the insults get to you. There's nothing by it. There really isn't.